Hello and welcome to Live Parkinson's, Live an Exceptional Life. I'm your host, Chris Custenbotter, and I've been living an exceptional life with Parkinson's for the past 14 years. The mission of this podcast is to help as many people living with Parkinson's as possible to lead a great quality of life. Today we're going to look at the link between sugar and Parkinson's, tips for a healthier diet. Today's episode is about a topic that many people don't really think much about. That's right, sugar. Yes, that sweet stuff that sneaks into our diets in so many ways. For those of us living with Parkinson's, understanding how sugar impacts our symptoms can be a game changer. In this episode, we're going to provide you with a good understanding of sugar, the types of sugar, and explore its effects on Parkinson's symptoms, and most importantly, how you can make small, powerful changes to your diet for better health. So stick around, because by the end of this episode, you'll walk away with actionable tips for managing sugar in your diet to feel your best. I'll be honest, I love ice cream, pie, cake, cookies, brownies, but most of them are loaded with added sugars. While they taste great, are they really doing me any favors in terms of my Parkinson's symptoms? No. In fact, they're probably making things worse. But how can things that taste so good, make us feel so good mentally, be not so good for our Parkinson's symptoms? That's going to be the key focus of this podcast, helping you identify products that are loaded with sugar that you may or may not realize, and how making changes can improve your quality of life with Parkinson's. So let's take a look at what we will be covering in this podcast on sugar and Parkinson's. We'll start off with the science of sugar. No worries, nothing too deep or boring. We'll go into what sugar is and its role in our diets, and then discuss the difference between natural and added sugars. And then how we metabolize sugar and how our bodies use sugar and sugar's effects on our bodies. Then we'll turn our attention to sugary foods and their impact on our Parkinson's symptoms. We'll explore the link between sugar consumption and inflammation, the potential effects on dopamine production and brain health. Then we'll provide insights on how sugar can exacerbate symptoms like fatigue, tremors, or cognitive issues. Then we'll turn the spotlight on managing sugar intake with Parkinson's. I'll provide you with some specific strategies for identifying hidden sugars in processed foods and tips for reducing sugar in our diets. That is, without feeling deprived. We will suggest healthier alternatives to sugary snacks and beverages. And then finally, we'll provide some examples of balanced meals that support energy and brain health. So, if you're ready to jump off the sugar train and learn more about improving your quality of life without it, then let's get started. So let's start with, what is sugar? Well, sugar is a type of carbohydrate, which is one of the three macronutrients our body needs. The other two are fats and proteins. And sugar is a carbohydrate, as I mentioned, and a carbohydrate's role is to help provide energy for our bodies. Now, the most common type of sugar is sucrose, which is found in table sugar, fruits, and vegetables. According to foodinsight.org in their article, What is Sucrose?, the author notes that sucrose can be a natural or added sugar depending on its source. It's considered a natural sugar when we consume it directly from whole plant foods, or can be an added sugar when we consume it from packaged foods and beverages. Now, while sucrose is a naturally occurring sugar found in various amounts in fruits, vegetables, and nuts, it's also produced commercially from sugar cane and sugar beets. Now, when we consume sucrose, it's broken down into equal parts glucose and fructose. Glucose gets taken into our cells for energy by insulin, while fructose is handled by the liver and doesn't need insulin to be absorbed. And then for some people that have been on different types of diets, sucrose provides 4 calories per gram. Other types of sugar include fructose, which is found in fruits and honey, lactose, found in milk and dairy products, maltose, found in cereals and malted beverages like beer. So what other role does sugar play in our diet? Well, one, it's an energy source. Sugar, especially glucose, is the primary fuel for our body, for our brain, and red blood cells. Taste and appetite. Sugar adds sweetness to food, making it enjoyable and stimulating our appetite. So think about when you eat a lot of carbohydrates, especially if you go to bed. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, wow, I'm hungry, because sugar's easily metabolized and then you're going to feel hungry again. Nutrient absorption. Some sugars, like those found in fruits and vegetables, come with fiber and other nutrients that aid in digestion by helping to slow stomach emptying and helping reduce the amount of sugar absorbed. Okay, now that we know what sugar is, it's a carbohydrate, and what it does as part of our diet helps provide energy. How much of it should we eat? The American Heart Association recommends limiting sugar intake to no more than 9 teaspoons, which is 36 grams per day for men, which is about 150 calories, and then no more than 6 teaspoons or 24 grams per day for women, which is about 100 calories. Now, this information comes from the American Heart Association article, How Much Sugar is Too Much, at heart.org. So, for example, a 12-ounce can of regular soda contains 10 teaspoons or 42 grams of added sugar, which is nearly double the recommended amount per day for women and more than the daily total intake for men. So let's look at the difference between types of sugar, the types of sugar we consume. The first is natural sugars. Now, these are found in fruits and vegetables and milk. The natural sugars are often accompanied by fiber and other nutrients, which help to slow down the absorption and prevent rapid spikes in blood sugar levels. Now, dairy doesn't have fiber, but the natural sugars are essential for the energy in our bodies. Now, the second type are added sugars. These are sugars that are added to processed foods, drinks, and sweets to help enhance the flavor and the shelf life. Commonly used added sugars include table sugar, which includes white sugar, brown, and powdered sugar. High fructose corn syrup. Now, that's a very common added sugar, and it's in processed foods including sauces, ketchup, and a host of other processed items. Honey, while natural, is still considered an added sugar when it's added to foods or beverages. Now, here's a fun fact. Honey is the only food that never spoils because of its very low water content, high acidity, and antimicrobial properties. Bees produce enzymes that produce hydrogen peroxide, and that's a powerful natural disinfectant. So next time you're in a trivia game, you can throw that question out there, which food never spoils, and that would be honey. Now, molasses and fruit juices are other sources of added sugars. All right, now that we have a good understanding of sugar, what it is, the types of sugar, added and natural, and how much to consume in our diets, let's look at the impact of sugary foods on our Parkinson's symptoms. First, let's talk about inflammation. Now, I've talked about inflammation as a potential cause and progression of Parkinson's in another podcast. Excessive sugar intake triggers the release of inflammatory molecules called cytokines. Now, why is this important? Well, cytokines can trigger oxidative stress, which damages cells and contributes to neurodegeneration, and pro-inflammatory cytokines can directly damage dopamine-producing neurons or brain cells, leading to their death. And then the loss of these dopamine-producing neurons in the brain, which are crucial for motor control, die off, and then that's when we start to experience the motor symptoms. Now, inflammation exacerbated by the cytokines from excessive sugar intake can worsen Parkinson's symptoms, including motor symptoms like tremors, rigidity, as well as non-motor symptoms including cognitive impairment and depression and anxiety and fatigue. Now, let's look at sugar and its effects on the gut microbiome, which is the ecosystem in your GI tract, and it consists of both, quote, good and, quote, bad bacteria and other microorganisms, and they all play a significant role in our overall health. In fact, a big majority of our immune system is in our GI tract. So excessive sugar intake can disrupt the delicate balance in our GI tract. Now, in the study, Gut-Brain Axis, Role of Gut Microbiota on Neurological Disorders, and how probiotics and prebiotics beneficially modulate microbial and immune pathways to improve brain function. And that was published in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences, and it found that in fecal samples of people with PD that there was significant alteration in gut bacteria composition, with lower levels of Prevotella, which are good, and higher levels of Enterobacter, or the bad ones. And then these changes were positively correlated with higher levels of postural instability and distinctive gait. So here are some of the effects of excessive sugar consumption on the gut biome. First up is gut microbiome dysbiosis. Excessive sugar consumption can lead to overgrowth of harmful bacteria. This imbalance is known as dysbiosis and can disrupt the normal functioning of the gut microbiome. Now, a dysbiotic gut can produce harmful metabolites that can enter the bloodstream and the brain, reach the brain, contributing to neuroinflammation. Inflammation and oxidative stress. High sugar intake can weaken the gut barrier, allowing harmful substances to leak into the bloodstream and trigger an immune response. This can lead to systemic inflammation and further damage to the brain. And then neurotransmitter imbalances. The gut microbiome produces neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which can influence brain function. A dysbiotic gut can disrupt the production of these neurotransmitters, potentially worsening our PD symptoms. In short, excessive sugar intake can negatively impact the gut microbiome, leading to inflammation, oxidative stress, and impaired gut barrier function. These factors can contribute to the development and progression of Parkinson's and worsening symptoms. Interestingly, according to the article Sugar and Parkinson's, 7 Facts to Know at myparkinsonsteam.com, research suggests that people with Parkinson's may crave sugary foods because their brains have reduced ability to produce dopamine as a neurotransmitter involved in movement control and the brain reward system. A study published in Frontiers in Nutrition found that people with Parkinson's disease tend to consume more added sugars compared to healthy controls. Now, this increased sugar intake was associated with more severe non-motor symptoms such as chronic pain, depression, and fatigue. It also included impulse control disorders as well. The study was titled, "Increased Added Sugar Consumption is Common in Parkinson's Disease." Now, finally, let's look at how excessive sugar intake can have severe potential negative effects on dopamine production and brain health for people with Parkinson's. Insulin resistance and inflammation. High sugar intake can lead to insulin resistance, which is a condition where the body becomes less responsive to insulin, which helps carry glucose into the cells. This can trigger chronic inflammation, and chronic inflammation is linked to the progression of neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's. The inflammation can accelerate the loss of dopamine-producing neurons, which are needed to help with motor control and movement. And then oxidative stress. High blood sugar levels can increase oxidative stress, which is an imbalance in free radicals and antioxidants in your body. So what are free radicals? Free radicals are unstable molecules that can damage cells and tissues, contributing to health problems. Antioxidants found in fruits and veggies and other food sources can help neutralize these free radicals. Increased oxidative stress can contribute to neurodegeneration as well. And then finally, dopamine fluctuations. Rapid spikes and crashes in blood sugar levels caused by excessive sugar intake can potentially destabilize dopamine levels, leading to fluctuations in mood, energy, and motor symptoms. And then cognitive decline. Chronic inflammation and oxidative stress associated with high sugar intake can contribute to cognitive decline, a common non-motor symptom of PD. Now, while more research is needed to understand the complex relationship between sugar intake, dopamine production, and Parkinson's, the available evidence suggests that a balanced diet with moderate sugar intake is crucial for individuals with PD. Now, I do want to state that it's important to consult with your healthcare professional or a registered dietitian to create a diet plan that meets your specific needs in helping you to manage your PD symptoms. Okay, now that we know the potential impacts of sugar on our PD symptoms, how can we manage our sugar intake effectively? Well, one of the things that's very important is to note that many of the foods we buy are loaded with added sugar, and are sometimes hard to identify in the food labels. In fact, did you know that sugar hides under more than 60 different names on food labels? Now, one way to identify sugar on food labels is to look for ingredients that end with OSE. For example, high fructose corn syrup, lactose, fructose, dextrose, maltose. All those end with OSE. And so what I wanted to do was, besides just give you the OSE words, I wanted to give you all 60 different names that sugars might be listed as under the food label. So if you have a pen and pencil handy, I'm going to give you all the different names for sugars you might find on food labels, because that can help you then identify how much sugar you're taking in and which products that you want to purchase have high sugar content. So we'll start out with these are all in alphabetical order, so that'll make it a little bit easier as well. So we'll start out with number 1 is anhydrous dextrose. Notice it ends in OSE. Number 2, agave. Number 3, agave nectar. Number 4, beet sugar. Number 5, brown sugar, and that includes both light and dark brown sugar. Number 6, cane juice. Number 7, cane juice solids. Number 8, cane sugar. Number 9, cane syrup. Number 10, carob syrup. Number 11, castor sugar. Number 12, coconut sugar. Number 13, a lot of people use this in baking, confectioner sugar. Number 14, corn syrup. Number 15, corn syrup solids. A lot of times if you look at some of these zero sugar coffee creamers, you'll notice that there's corn syrup solids in there. Number 16, crystalline fructose. Number 17, date sugar. Number 18, demerara sugar. That's Demerara, demerara sugar. Number 19, dextrin. Number 20, dextrose. Number 21, dehydrated cane juice. Number 22, evaporated cane juice. Number 23, evaporated cane syrup. Number 24, evaporated sugar cane. Number 25 is fructose. Number 26 is fructose crystals. 27 is fruit juice crystals. 28 is fruit juice concentrate. 29, glazing sugar. Number 30, glucose. And that's the first half, and here we go with the second half. 31 is glucose syrup. 32 is golden sugar. 33 is golden syrup. 34, granulated sugar. 35, and this is a big one that's used in a lot of processed foods, and that's high fructose corn syrup. 36, honey. 37 is icing sugar. 38 is invert sugar. 39 is invert syrup. 40 is king syrup. A lot of times you see that in conjunction with molasses. Number 41 is lactose. You hear that someone's lactose intolerant. Number 42 is maple syrup. 43, maple sugar. 44, maltose. And again, that ends with OSE. Number 45 is malt sugar. 46 is malt syrup. 47, molasses. Muscovado. I'm really not familiar with that, but I think I'll look it up and try to find out what that is. 49 is nectar. 50, pancake syrup. 52, powdered sugar. 53, raw sugar. 54, refiner's syrup. 55 is sorghum. 56 is sorghum syrup. 57 is sucanat. 58 is sucrose. which is probably the most common. 59, sugar. And number 60, superfine sugar. Well, there you have it. The 60 different types of sugar you may find on food labels. Okay, so now that we know about the different types of sugar we may be unwittingly consuming in our diets, let's look at some practical tips for managing sugar intake. Number 1, read food labels carefully. You want to look for hidden sugars, especially the ones I just shared with you. Things we consume regularly can have lots of added sugar. For example, ketchup, barbecue sauce, spaghetti sauce. That's one people don't think about, but most of them have 4 or more grams of sugar. Coffee creamers. There are some examples just to name a few. All the sugars we eat in various foods add up. So read your food labels, and the best place to look is right under the carbohydrate section, and it usually will list total sugars, and then it'll say added sugars. Now, cereals are another big item with lots of sugar, and if you notice, a lot of the cereal manufacturers now will list the amount of sugar right on the front of the box. Now, I try to buy products that have less than 4 grams or less of total sugars. That's just the guidelines I go by. Number 2, you want to focus on whole foods. Try to stick to fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. These provide nutrients without the added sugars. If you heard my podcast on the Mediterranean diet, that's where this comes from. Now, but Chris, don't fruits and veggies have sugar? Yes, they do, and it's usually in the form of fructose. But remember, fruits and veggies also contain fiber, which is going to help you regulate the release of sugars. That's why it's best to eat whole foods rather than fruit juices, which have the fiber stripped away. And then dried fruits also tend to concentrate the sugars because water is removed. Okay, number 3 is to satisfy your sweet tooth naturally. So instead of a sugary snack like a donut, granola bar, or candy bar, try fruits like berries, which are packed with antioxidants and have a lower glycemic index, which means how quickly the sugars spike. So the higher the glycemic index, the quicker the sugar enters your bloodstream. Number 4, reduce sugary beverages. Now, a can of soda can have as much as 40 grams of sugar. So try swapping it out for water, herbal teas, or water infused with lemons, limes, or cucumbers. Now, I like to drink iced tea with lemon, and that's probably my favorite drink. So I try to stay away from, I don't drink a whole lot of soda, but if I do, it's a diet soda. And then number 5 is use natural sweeteners. When you do need to sweeten food, use natural sweeteners like honey, maple syrup, or stevia. But remember, they should be used in moderation as well, because honey is considered an added sugar then. Number 6, meal planning is key. So plan your meals to include balanced portions of protein, healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, and nuts. And don't forget the fiber. This combination can help stabilize your blood sugar and help you reduce your cravings. Now remember, small steps like swapping a sugary granola bar for a handful of nuts or replacing a soda with sparkling water can make a big difference over time. Now remember, watch out for sauces. I mentioned spaghetti sauce and barbecue sauce and ketchup, and even some of if you're making stir fries, some of those will be loaded with sugar as well. And then other products that contain a lot of sugar too are the flavored yogurts, especially the ones that have the fruit on the bottom. And so flavored yogurts as well as cereals. A lot of cereals contain lots of sugar. All right. Before we recap today's episode, I wanted to share with you an exciting offer from audible.com. Now, if you're not familiar with audible.com, they're your one-stop source for audio entertainment. They offer an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre, from bestsellers to new releases, celebrity memoirs, motivation, health and wellness, business, and more. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, cooking dinner, relaxing on the beach, or just going for a walk. Now, new members can trial Audible for free for 30 days and get a free audiobook. Now, for a feel-good, optimistic book, I recommend A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Future by Michael J. Fox. And Lucky Man is another great book as well. And for understanding more about Parkinson's disease, I recommend 10 Breakthrough Therapies for Parkinson's Disease by Dr. Michael Oken. So to take advantage of the free 30-day trial and free audiobook, visit audibletrial.com/thrive. That's audibletrial.com/thrive. And I'll leave a link in the product or the podcast description. Now, for complete honesty and transparency, if you sign up for the free 30-day Audible trial and audiobook, Audible pays me a small commission, which I use to support this podcast. Thank you for your support of this podcast. Okay, so let's recap the key points from today's episode. Number 1, sugars, especially added sugars, can contribute to inflammation, disrupt dopamine regulation, and affect gut health, all of which can impact our Parkinson's symptoms. Number 2, reducing sugar intake doesn't mean giving up sweetness entirely. Focus on whole, nutrient-rich foods and be mindful of hidden sugars in your processed food items. Number 3, small, sustainable changes can lead to noticeable improvements in energy levels, symptom management, and overall quality of life. Now, I encourage you to take a week and track your sugar intake and notice how it affects your energy, your mood, and your symptoms. You really might be surprised what you discover. Thank you for spending time with me today. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who might benefit. I'd love to hear your thoughts or any questions you have or comments on. You can leave it on my Facebook page, Live Parkinson's, or visit my website, liveparkinsons.com. While you're on the website, subscribe to the free monthly newsletter, which is packed with information to help you live your best life with Parkinson's. There's also a number of other free resources and articles to help you on your Parkinson's journey. Now, if you'd like to support this podcast, consider visiting my Ko-fi page, kofi.com/liveparkinsons, and I'll leave a link in the description, but it helps keep the podcast going. Now, remember, managing Parkinson's is a journey, but you don't have to do it alone. Let's keep taking those steady steps together. And until next time, stay positive, stay healthy, and keep living your exceptional life. Take care and have a spectacular day.